first volume in the new Swashbuckling. But if you want an easy life, I would not read them. They are incredibly confusing, but I'm very glad that we do have a title and a date and a synopsis, in fact. I don't know when this happened, but I'm glad I looked it up now. It's one of my favourite series of all time. If not my favourite series of all time, we'll have to see when it's finished if it overall gets that. Welcome back to another video. My name is Ro and today we're going through my most anticipated books for 2022, part 1. Now the reason that I split this into 2 parts is that this first video is going to be me talking about authors that are kind of obvious, so authors that I've already read, authors or sequels that I really am anticipating. So this is mainly going to be a sequels list and or new books by authors that I already like / love. And then the part 2, which will be coming out sometime else this week, will be new to me authors, new to me series, like don't know really what they're going to be about other than the synopsis we've been given / the cover that we've been given. So today is kind of going to be an easy video for me because I get to just talk about all the stuff that I already know is coming out and that I already know I'm pretty much going to love. So we can kick straight off with the January releases. This first one is released on the 4th of January and that is, and if anyone doesn't know what it is yet, you will not be surprised, it is Where the Drowned Girls Go by Shauna Maguire. This is the 7th book to the Wayward Children series. It is not set in a portal fantasy world, it is set in the real world, although sometimes they do go to the portal fantasy world in those books. So the 1st, 3rd, 5th and now 7th book are going to be set at Eleanor West's home for wayward children, and the 2nd, 4th, 6th and hopefully 8th are set either kind of prequels where we look at the original characters going into their doors, or kind of like a random one, because the 6th one was a little bit random. We hadn't met that character yet, but it was her first going through her door as well. So that's kind of how the series is set up. It's amazing. I have the tattoo to prove it. but it's always like thing. Be sure is what it says on the front of every door. If you don't know what the Wayward Children is about, I'm not sure where you've been if you're on my channel now, but it is about kids who go through portal fantasy doors a la Alice in Wonderland, Peter Pan, that kind of thing, and they end up back in the real world, but they don't want to be in the real world. They want to go back to their doors because truly that is where they belong. Each door is quite, let's say, personalised to the person. It is the place where they will feel most at home. Eleanor West's Home for Wayward Children is where these children go because they can't adjust to the real world, and that is the plot of the 1st book. It's one of my favourite series of all time. If not my favourite series of all time, we'll have to see when it's finished if it overall gets that, but the 1st and the 4th book, which are Every Heart a Doorway and In an Absent Dream, are my favourite books in the series and they are amazing. They made me cry so much. Genuinely, I think everyone should give it a chance. But in January now, we are doing Be Sure-a-thon, which is mainly hosted by Sasha from A Wild Sasha, but I am one of the hosts, so check that out in the description as well if you'd like to. But Where the Drowned Girls Go is going to be following Cora, who is a previous character, so if you've not read the series, you probably won't know who she is, because she's not in the 1st book either, but she is from the Drowned Gods world, so hence the name. But I'm very excited for this. I do have an arc, but I've been waiting to read it for Be Sure-a-thon, as well as kind of just like, I wanted to be in a really good mood to read it, so there's that as well. I don't have any in February that I'm looking forward to from authors I already know, but I do have 2 in March. And the first one of that is Gallant by V.E. Schwab. Again, another one that shouldn't be really surprising. This though, out of all of her books that have come out, I think really speaks to me the most, the synopsis. It gives me very Spiderwick Chronicles vibes. Again, it's a portal fantasy, which is one of my favourite genres ever. So Gallant is about a girl who gets bequeathed an estate from like an estranged uncle or something. I think it might be in England and she's in America or something. I think she has to travel quite far to get there. And basically when she gets there, there are kind of like, I think possibly still like servants and stuff around the house, but basically she gets this warning like not to go over the wall, always stick to a certain side of the house, things like that. So like reminds me a bit of Spiderwick Chronicles when they say don't go outside the, I think they're mushrooms or are they rocks? There's a circle around the house and they basically say don't go outside the circle, things like that. And just the weird family inheritance as well, like really speaks to me, and I just feel like it's gonna be amazing. And this manor is super creepy, like on the cover and things, and I just feel like it's gonna be one of my favourite books ever. I have already ordered 2 copies because I can't control myself, obviously, and I've ordered the Waterstones and the Forbidden Planet. Both both have different sprayed edges, or stenciled edges in fact, so do check them out if you want to grab them before other people make it sold out. And I assume there's probably going to be an Illumicrate version as well. So Gallant comes out on the 1st of March. Now moving on to the 10th of March, we have Play of Shadows by Sebastian de Castell. This is not sure if it's a sequel series, but it's definitely set in the same world as the Greatcoats, which I'm hoping to catch up on by the time this comes out in March. So January, I'm planning on reading Night Shadow. You have already seen my TBR, hopefully, for January. Jade gave me Night Shadow to read. So I'm thinking February and March then I can try and read Tyrant's Throne, which is the last one, and Saint's Blood, I think. I'm not quite sure which way around it goes. And then maybe I can get to Play of Shadows in like end of March or moving into April kind of thing, so I can keep up with it. That's my plan anyway. That's what I hope to do. I do really want to catch up on some series this year as well, so that will be kind of a good push for me to finish that series. It's not that I didn't enjoy it, I just have so much to read, I get so overwhelmed. So now that I've got Night Shadow on my TBR, reminds me I need to message Jade and ask her for a recap of Traceblade because I have forgotten everything. But yeah, I actually don't know much else about this book slash series other than it's a sequel slash in the same world as the Greatcoats. I feel like I want to look it up because I swear there was like trials or a tournament or something. So when the grandson of two famous sword-wielding Greatcoats flees a duel to hide out in a theatre, he unwittingly becomes a conduit for the spirit of a legendary archduke portrayed as a villain on the stage. But as Damalas begins to learn the truth of what happened in his past, his life in the present becomes more and more dangerous. Soon he'll have to find a way to fight back against those who would kill to keep the country's darkest secrets buried. So there's swordplay, magic, intrigue, friendship stronger than iron. So the first volume in the new swashbuckling fantasy series by Sebastian de Castell. Honestly, I love Sebastian de Castell's writing. I love the wit, the banter, and let's be honest, it's going to be Joe Jameson narrating it, so I am very, very excited to be able to have that audiobook. Might pre-order the audiobook, in fact. In April, we have two more books that I'm super excited for, and the first of those is Amari and the Great Game. This is the sequel to Amari and the Night Brothers, the middle grade that blew my mind. I gave it like a 4.75. It was so close to being a 5-star. It was just like slightly rushed at the end. Compared to like when I've read stuff like Nevermore, which is my 5-star books all the way through, for middle grades, like I can't justify giving it that 5. But it's still so close that it may as well be, and this sequel I am highly anticipating. Amari and the Night Brothers is about a girl who is quite poor and her brother has gone missing. He has this like top secret job, and one day she gets like something in the mail where she opens it up and basically it's like a vision of her brother, and he basically says you can go and join the Supernatural Bureau and become an agent, blah blah blah. So she goes there and she has to go through trials to enter, and it turns out she has some kind of power because they all have some kind of power. The kids there, they touch this thing and they get powers, or it reveals their innate power or whatever. But the main story is she wants to find out where her brother is. She doesn't believe her brother's dead. She believes that he's just missing in action and needs help. It was amazing. It was just so good, and I'm super excited for the sequel. And Amari and the Night Brothers comes out on the 14th of April. It was pushed back from, I think, February or January, which sucks. Next up we have Fevered Star by Rebecca Roanhorse. This is the sequel to Black Sun by the same author. Black Sun is one of the most incredible epic fantasies I've ever read in my life, so do with that information what you will. I love it so much. I just really vibed with the writing. I really vibed with all the characters. And just the setup and the way that the book is set up chronologically, or it's not chronological, but the way that it's set up time-wise is chef's kiss. I think that it's just really good. We follow a couple of characters in Black Sun. Basically, everyone is coming up to this one event called the Convergence, where supposedly the avatar of the Crow God is going to come to Earth and, you know, fuck shit up, I guess. For some people, this is just like a festival in their town. There is a certain kind of priesthood slash women are in it as well. I don't know if that counts as still as a priesthood. Some kind of religious group. There's a few religious groups, in fact. Some follow the Crow God, some follow other gods. I think there's 4 main ones. There's this one, I want to say kid, but he's a kid at the beginning, but Serapio is supposedly gonna be the avatar for the Crow God. His mum like mutilated when he was younger, so there is a trigger warning for like mutilation of a child and stuff when you're young in the first part, so do be wary of that going in if that's something that triggers you. And basically everyone's kind of traveling to this place where this Convergence Festival is going to happen. There is also a, I think, bisexual pirate woman who is great. I just really liked all of the POVs and like wasn't really like looking forward more to one, except maybe Serapio, because I found him very attractive. In the audiobook, the way that the female narrator does a voice for Serapio is highly suggestive, and it's very good. I would highly recommend the audiobook. I'm pretty sure it's on Scribd if you're interested. But yeah, it's very good. I'm super, super anticipating the sequel. Hopefully I will be able to grab a Goldsboro version. And Fevered Star comes out on the 19th of April. Now in May we have two more. We have kind of an obvious one, which is The Book of Night by Holly Black. I actually have no fucking clue what this is about. I just really liked the Cruel Prince series. I also really liked the Spiderwick Chronicles, which she co-wrote. I wouldn't say she's one of my favourite authors, but in terms of fantasy worlds, I feel like she does have a very, let's say, like easy writing style to follow. So this is her new adult fantasy, supposedly. It's described by herself, I think, but I've seen a bit of like, not discourse, but like a bit of discussion recently, like what is it actually going to be, but I'm pretty sure it's adult. She has said it's her adult debut. I don't know what it's about. It's probably going to be, I think it's a really generic synopsis, I'm not going to lie to you. This is the synopsis. It says, Charlie Hall has never found a lock that she couldn't pick, a book she couldn't steal, or a bad decision she wouldn't make. She spent half her life working for gloamists, magicians who manipulate shadows to peer into locked rooms, strangle people in their beds, or worse. Gloamists guard their secrets greedily, creating an underground economy of grimoires, and to rob their fellow magicians, they need Charlie. Now she's trying to distance herself from past mistakes, but going straight isn't easy. She's bartending at a dive. She's still entirely too close to the corrupt underbelly of the Berkshires. Berkshires? Is this going to be set in England? I don't know. And then her sister is desperate for magic. Her shadowless and possibly soulless boyfriend has been keeping secrets from her. And then a terrible figure from her past returns. So a lot going on there. Not a lot very specific, I feel, but I'm interested in the magician side of things, and I feel like there are a lot of like, you know, thief characters around and stuff like that, but I am mainly interested in the magician side of things and, you know, the criminal underbelly with magicians. That's like my bag, so that's what I'm excited for with this one, and hopefully it will be a nice and easy read. And The Book of Night comes out on the 3rd of May. Also out on the 3rd of May is Seasonal Fears. Who knew that there was going to be a sequel to Middle Game? Not me, until Shauna Maguire tweeted about it and was like, yeah, Seasonal Fears is coming out. I was absolutely blown away. I'm so excited for this. In fact, Shauna Maguire has more books planned. I think they're going to be more like companion novels as opposed to direct sequels, because as any of you who have read Middle Game will know, the timing and non-chronology of the book does not really lend itself to a sequel. In essence, this is one of the Elements books. I can't remember which one she said, but each one kind of follows a different element to do with the Impossible Road and things like that. If you don't know what I'm talking about, I do apologise. But I'm excited. I'm so excited for this. I can't really give you a synopsis for this because it's a sequel technically. But Middle Game is about Roger and Dodger. They are a set of twins who are they are brought into existence by this doctor. They aren't, you know, born naturally. They get adopted on opposite sides of America, and essentially they have like a psychic link and can speak to each other, and the doctor created them to try and be the avatars in a sense of, I think it's logic and maths, I think, but they call it something else, I can't quite remember at this moment, but basically they think that creating these avatars as twins, if they reach their full potential and unlock their full potential, then the doctor can get to the Impossible Road and to the Impossible City, which is a lot to do with alchemy. And there's a lot of vagueness and a lot of like reading between the lines when it comes to this book. There's a lot of different timey-wimey, wibbly-wobbly, timey-wimey stuff going on, which makes it perfect for me. It is my #1 book of this year. That is a spoiler for my best books of the year, but I don't care. I need everyone to read it. Middle Game is just chef's kiss. It's fantastic. Unfortunately, there aren't any books in June that I'm looking forward to in terms of ones I already know, so let's move on to July. There is only one book in July for me, and that is Bloodmarked by Tracy Deonn. This is the sequel to Legendborn, which is a King Arthur retelling with Black Girl magic. That is the kind of one-liner that I can tell you. It is set in America, it's not set in England. There is a bit of Welsh in there if anyone's interested. I wouldn't say the Welsh is really utilised the best. the author is American, so I can give some forgiveness in that way. Obviously it's very close to my heart as I am Welsh myself, and I could pick quite a few holes in it. But despite that, I gave it 5 stars because I thought that the story was amazing. I thought that the characters were really good. I really enjoyed like the trials that the main character had to go through to get into like this secret society on the university campus, and there's just a possible polyamorous relationship. And I am very excited for the sequel. I really hope that Tracy can lean into the polyamorous side of things. It is a YA, so I don't know if like that would be allowed, because we all know that like even let's say like 5-10 years ago, being gay was like not allowed in children's books, not allowed in YA, because I mean even today it's still like that, but it's very like frowned upon as if it's something dirty. Polyamory is seen as in the same way right now, but I really hope that it won't be. Like I know she's 16 and like they're both like 17 or 18 or something, but like I'm hoping that she will grow up a bit more, like maybe the series can move into like her aging a bit more, and we can explore that. I really hope so. Don't worry, please don't worry, that is not a spoiler because it has not happened. It's just something that I really hope does happen in the book, in the sequel, in the 3rd book. I don't care. As long as it happens somewhere, please, I beg. And Bloodmarked comes out on the 26th of July. This is another one that has been pushed back, if I remember correctly. In August, I do have one book as well, and that is Babel by R.F. Kuang. This is the same author as The Poppy War, but this book is a completely different foray. It's pretty much, I think, not fantasy. It's more like dark academia. I am very excited for this. It's set in Oxford. I think she actually attended Oxford recently or in the last year or so for her master's degree, or maybe a doctorate, I'm not quite sure. I do follow her on Twitter, but she talks a lot about her education, so I get a bit mixed up. So basically it says, Oxford 1836, the city of dreaming spires. It is the centre of all knowledge and progress in the world. At its centre is Babel, the Royal Institute of Translation, the tower from which all the power of the empire flows. Orphaned in Canton and brought to England by a mysterious guardian, Babel seemed like paradise to Robin Swift until it became a prison. But can a student stand against an empire? So quite a vague synopsis there, but the setting and everything itself already, and the fact that I already like R.F. Kuang's writing, really speaks to me, and I'm just incredibly excited for it. This cover looks really cool, and yeah, I feel like I'm really being fed this year for my favourite authors coming out with good books. And Babel is out on the 18th of August. Now, moving into September, let's talk about Nona the Ninth. Can we please talk about the fact that this series has now become a quartet instead of a trilogy? By the time Nona comes out, it will have been 2 years since the previous book. I am baffled. The first 2 books are confusing as fuck, I will not lie to you. Upon reread, you will probably know definitely what's going on, but initially they are very confusing, but in the best way ever. The first book has the tagline, lesbian necromancers in space, so if that's your bag, I'd go for it. It's kind of like a locked room mystery with Gideon, the main character, pining after so many women, and just lots of snark, lots of banter, so much just wit, and it's just so funny. Genuinely, it's one of the funniest books I've ever read. Harrow is 10 times more confusing, but 10 times more satisfying. I don't really know how else to describe these books if you haven't read them yet, but I think that the hype is worth it, and I think a lot of people think that way too. Although if you want an easy life, I would not read them. They are incredibly confusing, and you know, we're waiting to be fed by Tamsin Muir. She's taken a huge hiatus off like the internet in general. But the 3rd book now, Nona the Ninth, is going to be out September 13th, and I guess we will get Electo the Ninth hopefully the year after. Please not another 2-year gap, because I will die. I don't know what the fuck to expect in this book. I read the synopsis and I didn't know what the fuck was going on. It's incredible, honestly. I've never felt so excited for books or so like intrigued by books in my life. The story is just so good, and I think the way that Tamsin Muir tells the stories as well, it's just genius. And yeah, everyone should read Gideon the Ninth. Bloody hell. In September as well, I have a feeling that there should be a 3rd Scholomance book, which is A Deadly Education, The Last Graduate, and then unknown title. I don't know anything about this yet. I feel like there hasn't really been any announcements. Oh, we have a title. Never mind. So we do have a title, and it is The Golden Enclaves, or Enclaves, which is an interesting title. On Goodreads, it says 27th of September 2022. That could be different in the UK versus US, but I'm very glad that we do have a title and a date and a synopsis, in fact. I don't know when this happened, but I'm glad I looked it up now. So yeah, September 27th, I guess, The Golden Enclaves, the third Scholomance book, is coming out. Very exciting. The first book is kind of like, they really comped it to Harry Potter, but it is nothing like Harry Potter. It's kind of like a school that eats people alive. It's about magicians, I guess. I don't know if they're called that in the series, but they have magic and these kids have to go to the school. There are 7 years, or I think there's 7, like 5 to 7 years. I think they include like the sixth form years as well, which are in the UK. Each year their floor kind of goes down one, like the whole structure moves around, so their floor goes down until you get to the bottom for graduation, and then you have to escape. There are millions and millions of what they call mals or maleficents or something like that, but they're demons essentially. Lots of different types of demons. I wish we could get like a little grimoire of like a list of all of them, you know? That would be cool. But yeah, that's what the first one's about, and the main character is actually incredibly powerful, but she tries to avoid everyone. She kind of like doesn't like anyone. I think she's really funny. Her name is Elle, and she's half Welsh, so her mum is Welsh, and she lives out in like a little, what are they called, those tents that have like a cross on top, like a little teepee or something. It's not that though, it's something else. A yurt, I think. Her mum like lives in a yurt in the Welsh countryside. I think it's really funny. It's actually a very Marmite book. A lot of people do not like it. They don't like the writing. It is very different to something I've read before, really. It is kind of info dumpy. It's very as if it's Elle's diary. You give a lot of information and this and that. It's almost as if Elle is like, you are another student and Elle is trying to give you all this information on how to survive. So I can see why people wouldn't like that, but I personally loved it. I think I gave the first one 4.5 and the second one 5. Pretty sure I didn't give the first one 5. I can check actually. Oh, I gave it like a 4.75. I think it was super close to a 5, and then the sequel was definitely a 5. So yeah, very excited for the sequel, to be honest. I am hopefully, I mean, I don't know if it's going to be a trilogy. It's just called The Scholomance, but I would like more in that world. I think that it's really interesting. Now in October we have Silverborn by Jessica Townsend. This is the 4th book to the Nevermore series, which is a middle grade series, which is my favourite middle grade series ever. I think this series is brilliant. The first one is about our main character Mog, or Morrigan Crow. She is destined to die on her 11th birthday, so she has to, well, I guess she doesn't really know how it's going to happen, but she's supposedly going to die. Cue Jupiter North showing up, who is a very kooky, ginger-haired, green suit wearing man, and he whisks her away to the land of Nevermore. And basically she has to go through these trials to get into the Wondrous Society so that she can stay and get like a citizenship pass, because usually people from the Republic, as they say, aren't allowed into Nevermore, so she has to get citizenship to be able to stay and be safe, essentially. Obviously there's a lot more to the story than that, but it's incredible. Everyone should read it. It's my favourite middle grade series ever. And this 4th book now, we will have been waiting 2 years. Luckily I have only recently read the next 2 books, so I will only have to wait 1 year, but everyone else who read it like Hollowpox as soon as it came out will have had to have waited 2 years, which really sucks. I'm already regretting reading them now because I don't want to wait a year, but I'm so excited, especially the fact that it's purple. Hopefully there will be some nice sprayed edges as well, because I've ordered it from Waterstones, and yeah, I'm super excited about all of these books. I'm so happy. I don't have any in November, unfortunately, that I already know about, but there is one in December, but it is not confirmed. It has not been announced. Even the title is on, you know, Amazon, and it's on Audible, I think, for someone in the US saw it as well. However, this has not been confirmed or announced, like I said. Now, this is Lightbringer by Pierce Brown. On Amazon UK, it says that it will be available on the 7th of December 2022. Now, I was very shocked at this title because every single title in the series has had 2 words. Lightbringer is 1 word, and also Lightbringer is already the title of a Brent Weeks book. It's already the title of a Claire Legrand book, which is one of my favourite series, the Furyborn series. So I am very surprised that this would be the title. I don't feel like it fits the series, but I feel like it fits in the terms of like The second to last book now is called Dark Age, so I guess Lightbringer kind of follows on, but I'm not happy with it. I'm not happy with it because there are already 2 other books named this, so I wish he had come up with something else. So hopefully this isn't a confirmed title, hopefully it's a working title, but we don't know. Pierce Brown has said nothing. The past, how long has it been, 2-3 years since Dark Age? He has scrapped, I think, 3 manuscripts for this last book. He has been driving the struggle bus for 2 to 3 years. Bless him. But I am so excited for this. I'm gonna have to do a reread of the books before it comes out. I'm hoping something gets announced soon, because surely, if it's this 2022, like this year, then surely it has to be announced at some point soon, surely. But yeah, that date, that title, it's on Amazon and it's on Audible, so who knows, it may end up being true. If you don't know what I'm talking about, this would be the last book in the Red Rising series. There are 2 trilogies. The first trilogy is Red Rising, Golden Sun and Morning Star. The second trilogy is set 10 years later, and that is Iron Gold, Dark Age and Lightbringer, question mark, possibly. So yeah, the first book is very good. Me and Jord love it. It's one of our favourite series together. I feel like a lot of people know what Red Rising is about, so I don't really feel the need to talk about it, to be honest. I talk about it too much. So yeah, that is kind of it for this video, guys. Please do stay tuned for the second part of this video where I'll be talking about books that I don't know anything about / have never heard of the authors, or they're an author new to me. So if you enjoyed this video, please do give it a like down below. Leave me a little sun emoji for the Lightbringer speculation. Leave me a little sun emoji if you were here but you didn't really have anything to say but you wanted to let me know that you were here. Make sure you subscribe so you get all the future content from me in your inbox. Lots of new stuff coming in 2022. Very exciting. All of my links are in the description, including my Patreon. If you don't know what goes on my Patreon, then this is what you're missing out on. Okay. Okay.
Yeah,
okay, okay. No!
Jump,
No!
jump, 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 jump,
Jump! 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 Straight, straight, stop, don't move, don't.
Yay!
I'm sweating! Speaking of my Patreon, I want to give a huge shout out to everyone at my Daisy tier, which has grown so much and I'm so grateful. So that is Becca, Meg, Rachel, Lisa, Lydia, Mercy, Sarah, Tori, Liv, Adinda, Celeste, Danny, Marluce, Kay, Britt, Hannah, William, Chris, Andy, and Lauren. Thank you guys so much for all of your support, and I'll see you in another video. Bye!